So tomorrow is Melissa's birthday. My little girl will be 4 years old tomorrow, and unfortunately for the last 3 years I haven't been able to see her, talk to her, hold her, love her, guide her, protect her, and basically the government of Japan supports and sanctions that. And but you know, the congressional voice here, the growing voice from the U.S. legislators is unanimous. March 11th, 418 congressmen, all in unison, said the same thing. Japan is the worst case scenario in international child abductions in the world. Don't believe me? Look it up. HRES 125. Read the voted on text. And see what every single congressman here in the United States said about it. This is the voice of our congressmen. And the voice of our senators and president and vice president and secretary of state are right in step with that. And the Japanese government has tried. They've hired these big lobbyists. They want to hide this fact. They want to sweep it under the rug. And they're masters at sanitizing these stories. So it's interesting that the Japanese airlines and Japanese consulates allow Japanese citizens to illegally kidnap American children with impunity. The Japanese consulates provide passports in false names for children. The Japanese embassy hires sanitizing. So anyway, it's an interesting day today, being the center of the Cherry Blossom Festival, and North Korea launched a missile today, and that's another weird irony again. You know, North Korea is a rogue nation. They're crazy, but Japan has played their hand with these 17 abductees from 30 years ago to extraordinary advantage for the Japanese, and you know, all in all, considering how the abductions plays in the scene of foreign policy amongst nations, 17 citizens 30 years ago doesn't even compare to 20,000 children illegally abducted from the United States to Japan over the last 10 or 15 years, according to the FBI. It's just ironic that you know, tomorrow's my daughter's birthday. Today is kind of the highlight of the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's a big day here at the National Mall, and North Korea launched that missile, and undoubtedly Japan will try to play this up into, you know, the nuclear agenda. All of the abductee issue. They've single-handedly held up the six-party talks over these abductees, and Japan has got more mileage out of the abductee issue than is believable. It's just astonishing to me. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has shepherded these 17 families all over the world and cloaked their, you know, unilateral foreign policy agenda behind these 17 abductees, and meanwhile, you know, another child gets abducted every 20 hours from the United States to Japan. About every 20 hours, another child gets kidnapped from the United States to Japan, and all we hear about are these North Korean abductions from 30 years ago, and how Japan would love to bash North Korea. You know what? North Korea is a crazy place. Kim Jong-il is a crazy guy, but Japan has a long ways to go too. And the unanimous voice of the Congress makes that clear. And so the hypocrisy and the irony is awfully thick for me. And you know, the voice of Japan has just gone on and on and on, and against condemning North Korea and against basically any other nation other than themselves, and their process for dealing with things is is delay, 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 deny, 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 and then just ignore. And that's what they've done with all these American children and signing the Hague Treaty or returning these children. And you know, it's highly unbelievable to me that in 2009 we have one country on this planet that we can't get one single child back from. We get children back from everywhere in the world, but we get 0 children back from Japan. Children get kidnapped to Japan. Every 20 hours another one gets kidnapped to Japan, and we can't get one of them back. The State Department has no progress. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has never had any cooperation or progress with Japan, and Japan is just steadfastly defiant, you know. And my little daughter is there, and tomorrow's her birthday, and she's missing playing here in the park in the National Mall today. She's missing all the things that a loving father would provide to her, and that's just, you know, to say that she's going to grow up emotionally and psychologically underdeveloped is just heart-wrenching to me. And the government of Japan needs to grow socially and culturally and join the rest of the world in social and children's rights and social justice and women's rights and family rights. And I'm looking forward to, you know, to educating everybody in the United States and in the world, one at a time if I have to. You know, I made it through Congress, 400 people, 400 members of Congress agree with me now and stood up and said what I've been saying for the last 3 years. And that's recorded in the congressional record now. And I'm looking forward to the day that our president stands up and says that to the Prime Minister of Japan. Taro Aso, a guy whose family enslaved U.S. POWs during World War II and used them, you know, unfairly, along with many other Japanese businesses. You know, they took these prisoners of war and forced them into labor and killed and hacked many of them to death. And look it up on Wikipedia, Japan war crimes or Japanese war crimes, and it's just, you know, I feel terrible for people like Lester Tenney, who, you know, filed a lawsuit just to recover his wages during his 3.5 years of being enslaved in Japan during World War II, and his lawsuit gets set aside by the State Department, and the Japanese companies basically walk scot-free. They didn't even have to pay him $1. Taro Aso, you know, Prime Minister of Japan, I mean, had POW slave labor. I mean, what would it sound like if one of our presidents had slaves to, you know, in his family in his lifetime? I just, you know, it's unthinkable to me. And so this country, you know, Japan, while it may be appear to be a world leader and it may be the second largest economy in the world, you have to really wonder what their values are and what we have in common with them. And so look forward to more U.S. senators and congressmen taking a stand on this, and I'll see you next year here at the Cherry Blossom Festival.